you back on, because if people can't understand how politics on a global scale works, we've got to understand what this rules-based international order is and what the component parts of that order is. And of course, the Trilateral Commission is a very powerful part of this.
Oh, absolutely. The Trilateral Commission is often seen as sort of the first cousin, you might say, of the Bilderberg Group. And I've typically reported in past years, especially over the past decade or so, in the spring on the Trilateral Commission, because what they talk about and who shows up sometimes will give you an inkling of what Bilderberg's going to talk about and what's on Bilderberg's mind. At any rate, as was the case in 2014, the Trilateral Commission held a major meeting in Washington, D.C., on the shores of the Potomac. It was called an era of revolutions. Maybe revelations would be better, right? At first, it looked like it said an end of revolutions, but it's actually an era of revolutions, kind of a weird script there. And it shows the flowers that come out in DC in the springtime, a very pretty place to be this time of year. At any rate, a number of things were covered. And this is a statement that was put out on the last day. This meeting was recent. It was April 4 through 6 in DC. So it didn't just happen, but these things, of course, have long-range implications. There was this statement put out that says the Trilateral Commission has, for more than half a century, created in 1973, championed a commitment to the rule of law, what they call the rule of law, open economies and societies, which has a double meaning, and democratic principles. As we meet in DC amid deep domestic and foreign divisions, the Trilateral Commission's mission remains vital. Today, we reaffirm these values. Founded in 73 by David Rockefeller, the major banker, also Bilderberg, the Trilateral Commission brings together senior policymakers, business leaders, and top thinkers, just like Bilderberg, from across North America, Europe, and they have an Asian component in the Trilateral Commission that tends not to be there for Bilderberg. The members discuss issues that are common to democracies in those three regions. And we'll move on. There's a little more detail that they shared through their publications. The Trilateral Commission is notably more open about their meetings than Bilderberg, both beforehand and afterwards. I'll mention that too. At our global meeting, the one that happened in early April, we bring together a wide range of stakeholders, including members of the Trump administration who were there, but I can only track down two, by the way. And there were thinkers on the right and the left, former policymakers, and they want to foster international cooperation. The founding statement of the Trilateral Commission, just to give a little more foundation to those who aren't familiar with it, says Japan, Western Europe, and North America, in view of their great weight in the world economy, bear a special responsibility for developing effective international cooperation for themselves and the rest of the world. And the major goal of the Trilateral Commission, no matter what the details are, is the renewal and maintenance of the rules-based international system that's to be shouldered by all trilateral members. So also in early April, Joseph Nye, the noted soft power theorist and Harvard professor, in fact, he's a developer of soft power. He took part in the early April meeting, but about a month later, on the 6th of May, he passed away. And there's a letter here that viewers can look at in more detail, but it was written by Megan O'Sullivan, the chairman of the North American part of the Trilateral Commission. And they just basically say that now we say goodbye to him. Joseph Nye, spelled N-Y-E, had been an integral part of the Trilateral Commission since its earliest days when it was formed by Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller. Mr. Nye was a founding member of the Trilateral Commission and a chair of the North American group for a decade, following the departure at that time of House Speaker Tom Foley. So a Speaker of the House of Representatives was actually a major leader in the Trilateral Commission at one time, which is a pretty grave conflict of interest. Here's some of the key U.S. and U.K. attendees. The two Trump administration people that the Trilateral people referred to were Scott Bessent, U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, and Sohan Dasgupta, an Indian guy, Assistant Secretary for Trade and Economic Security, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And one of the major UK attendees is Anthony Beevor, Beevor, a visiting professor, University of Kent. He was among a few different UK personalities who were there. At any rate, we see in this next slide, we see Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, meeting with CFR Board Chairman David Rubenstein. He's the Council on Foreign Relations Board Chairman. He's also with the Carlyle Group. And they simply said that Mr. Bessent's topic was a special conversation with that CFR Board Chairman, Mr. Rubenstein. So those are some of the highlights. They covered a whole bunch of things regarding AI, regarding tariffs, regarding international relations. There was very little, if anything, about the Israeli matter with regards to Gaza or any of that. But there'll be much more, guys, on this. We do have a couple short video clips. If I had to pick one, I'd go with the second one. But why don't we show one of those? This is Edward Luce, that's showing him there. He's with the Financial Times. He wrote a book on the Trilateral Commission co-founder Zbigniew Brzezinski. The book is simply called Zbig. Brzezinski, of course, was a major U.S. strategist. He died in 2017, as did David Rockefeller that same year. Here's a little bit of what Mr. Luce had to say talking with Ian Brzezinski, Zbigniew Brzezinski's son. And this gives you a little more flavor of Trilateral Commission related matters as of late.
Obama was able to call on, the Democrat, the most hawkish Democrat, at least in memory, who had been known as Darth Vader by the left in the 1970s. He was the Darth Vader. For Obama to be able to get your dad's endorsement was, and I talked a lot to the Obama people, it was a punch the air moment for them because this neutralized Hillary Clinton's attack.
And Zbig offered to introduce Obama, and it was a whole big deal.
Yes.
And to remind, going back to Jimmy Carter, Carter credited him really with teaching him foreign policy. Carter read huge amounts of material, and you describe how the Trilateral Commission was formed, and Carter was the first governor, Democratic governor, to be asked to be a member, and so forth. And so he really, he's had an extraordinary impact.
To summarize very briefly, guys, I know time is tight. Jane Harman, the host herself, is a member of the Trilateral Commission, a former California congresswoman, and so she has a special interest in this. But that they did a very in-depth interview with Mr. Luce on his book, and it exposed a lot of the Trilateral Commission's machinations through Zbigniew Brzezinski, and one of them was schooling Jimmy Carter to make him into a better globalist than he might have been otherwise. So there'll be more on this as Bilderberg approaches in Stockholm. And there'll be some of this will be brought into it from the trilateral meeting, but we'll leave it there for now.
Mark, thank you very much for that. And as I said earlier on, some really fascinating statistics there of how opinion, at least in America, at least, is beginning to change. And hopefully, as people get access to more direct media, less of the political bias, they are going to be able to frame much more sensible opinions as to what's going on in the world. Now, we're a little bit over for time, but I have to say that UK Column does pay attention when people pick us up and say that what we've reported hasn't been accurate. But to bring a little bit of black humour into this end of today's news, the subject was, but it's black, sorry, it's Back to Black love song with Zelensky. And I just pointed out that the Italian Prime Minister switched to black when she met Zelensky in black, and they made a lovely couple, Zelensky looking very happy at his conquest. So we put this back. It's become controversy, apparently, and I was challenged, and we had a very interesting exchange about this because we mentioned Amy Winehouse, which is back to black, but our viewer said, surely you're thinking of AC/DC, which is back in black. So we just want to end saying we do pay attention to what you say, but sometimes we do get it right. And it's great to see that at least the subject of music has brought something a little bit lighter to the to the fore.
Which do you prefer, Brian? Amy Winehouse or AC/DC?
Well, I've got to say that a while back I started to look at a little bit of information about Amy Winehouse and her career and her background, and I do like some of her music. I think I prefer more than AC/DC, but I'm the age I am, so maybe that's unfair criticism. We must end there. Huge thank you to everybody who's joined us today for today's news. We will have a UK column extra in a few minutes. And of course, if you're a member of UK column, you can join in that. We're having a much more relaxed discussion on major events in the world and other things. Today, we also have a guest with us, and that is Mark Plain from Not on the Beeb. So he is another journalist. And Mark has been doing some really good work. He's produced a book where he's challenging AI. We'll be talking about that. But he's also going to be telling us about his experiences in Spain when the power went off. So if you're a member, come and join us for UK Column Extra. If you're not a member, think about signing up with us. Because your support will help us do more of these things. We must end there. We're a bit over time. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye-bye.